Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Our thanks to Pat Brisson, all of our guests today, including Pat and Moj, standing by, sponsored by Brisson Motors. Brisson is helping you dine in or dine out all February long with a $500 gift card with your next vehicle purchase. Also, they're taking away the GST. Learn more at Brisson Motors, BASANT Motors.com. Almost broke into a song there.
Oh, yeah.
Eagles over the Chiefs 40-22 in Super Bowl 59. Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl MVP. We're joined now to talk about it by our Czech Super Bowl correspondent, Donnie and Dolly Super Bowl correspondent, Bob Marjanovich, the Moj. Thanks for doing this, sir. How are you? Oh, that's
What's up,
good.
Fellas?
That's good.
Oh, I like that.
Who's the guy with the hair behind you?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'll tell you what, it's got to be old if it's got a Nordiques logo in it.
Oh, my gosh.
Package.
Exactly.
Good times. That's an old sports page shot. Loving it.
Yep, there you go.
Very nice.
That's not going to be too distracting. Hey, 40-22, Moj, where did that come from? It was a wipeout.
Man, it's interesting because most of the people that we talked to, just about all the people we talked to, said when you tick the boxes, the Philadelphia Eagles would tick a lot of those boxes over the Kansas City Chiefs. But they have Patrick Mahomes, but they have Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo. I just don't think they had any answers on offense yesterday. They came out flat. They arguably said it's the worst game they played all year. They talked about the fact that Philadelphia didn't do anything differently. They didn't show any, exotic blitzes or packages that might have confused the Chiefs. It's funny, those playlists that they have, the coaches walk around, they're called play sheets or ready sheets. For people that don't know, they have specific defenses, formations, personnel groupings that you want to run against certain downs and distances or maybe field tendencies. When you have a really good game as a defensive coordinator, you're barely even looking at that thing because you're just basically running maybe a handful of defensive packages or groupings or plays. And I think that was the case yesterday with Vic Fangio of the Eagles. I mean, they didn't blitz once.
Yeah.
And they had all that pressure on Mahomes the entire game. 42 dropbacks. They had 17 pressures. They never blitzed once. That just tells me they just out-physicaled the Kansas City Chiefs at the line of scrimmage. One of the concerns that a lot of people talked about at the start of the year was Joe Thuney moving from guard to tackle for the Chiefs. And I read something this morning, it kind of made sense. They kind of weakened two positions rather than just, kind of losing out at one by moving Thuney to tackle, because when you move a guard to tackle, you're working from a phone booth as a guard. Now you got a lot more open space. You got to kick out as a tackle, so you kind of weaken two spots. And like I said, Philadelphia they just dominated them on the line of scrimmage.
Yes, 6 sacks, if I'm not mistaken, of Patrick Mahomes. And you said they didn't blitz once. Were they too focused on Saquon Barkley, who the Eagles didn't use, I think, as much as people thought they would?
Well, I think when you look at the Kansas City Chiefs defense, I thought they did a great job of neutralizing Barkley. But they were playing run first, particularly from a front seven perspective in your D-line. So when you play run first, one of the keys is you don't want to get turned. You want to keep your shoulders parallel to the line of scrimmage. But what that does, it takes away from your pass rush, because now as you're checking run, now you've kind of manned up. When you're pass rushing, you want to twist and make yourself thin and get through the hole. So when they were playing that run first scenario, it did take away from their pass rush. But I thought Kansas City's defense, they kind of held the fort. I mean, as long as they could. They neutralized Barkley. Yeah, they gave up some plays in terms of passing. But, when your offense gives they had the turnover in the red zone. They got a turnover. Philadelphia turned over the ball in the red zone that one time. But when you're starting a possession in the red zone and when your quarterback's throwing a pick six, it makes life difficult for you. And I thought Kansas City's defense held on as long as they could. They just never got any help from their offense.
Look, I kind of screwed up that last question. I can't do this with that picture in the background.
You're rattled, aren't you?
I am. Can you get rid of that thing? Come on.
Don't get rid of it. Keep it up.
No.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a new poll question for you, but we'll talk about that at the end.
All right.
Okay, listen, what about Jalen Hurts? The running game wasn't there in the first half, but he was throwing darts. Him and the receivers, they were on a mission. What about Hurts? His play obviously was good. He was the MVP, Bob.
Yeah, I mean, he was lights out for Philadelphia. And, that was a big thing everybody talked about. If you take away Barkley, now you're going to have to deal with Hurts. And, the other thing too that I think he kind of activated his running game a little bit more in the second half, which really kind of hurt Kansas City moving forward in that second half. So I thought Hurts was outstanding. I mean, MVP worked his legs. He was throwing some precise passes. There were a couple of passes that I think he wanted back, but for the most part, I mean, Hurts was a two-dimensional quarterback. And there's a big key. He was a two-dimensional quarterback, especially in the second half. He was running a little bit more, and he was throwing. When you look at Mahomes, he didn't there was nothing there. They made Mahomes a one-dimensional quarterback. They kept him in the pocket, and he just couldn't do anything. So that was the big difference between the two quarterbacks yesterday. One was one-dimensional, just kind of sitting in the pocket, not really escaping and doing much. Well, the other one was using his legs to extend plays.
Hey, Bob, I saw I don't know if you saw the Patrick Mahomes tweet last night. He says, I take blame, but we'll be back, and we'll be better. If there's anybody that backs it up, it's going to be this guy. What about him next year? Can they surround him?
I have no doubt about that. And here's the thing, too, fellas. I don't know. It's funny because we brought this up. We were talking about this game, but Super Bowl 42, right? Remember how rattled Brady looked in that game against the Giants? That was that undefeated Patriot team that lost to the Giants in Phoenix. And in that game, it was kind of the first time you saw Brady look really, really rattled. And I think the kind of same held true yesterday. I can't remember seeing, I think one writer used the word flummoxed, which is a Taylorism, and I love that word. But he looked flummoxed, right? I mean, you don't see that from Patrick Mahomes. And yesterday, we saw it for the first time since I can remember. Maybe that Super Bowl, but even then, he was kind of still doing things himself. This time, the loss to Tampa I'm talking about. But even this time, I mean, he didn't have any answers.
Your opinion of Kendrick Lamar's halftime show?
New poll question. All right?
Okay.
Work with me here.
Yeah.
Who's sponsoring the poll question? I'll give him a plug.
Waddling Dog.
Waddling Dog. Yeah. Good guys.
Waddling Dog poll question. Who would be easier to understand? Kendrick Lamar at halftime doing a halftime show or Dollywall after a bottle of Crown?
Hey, a halftime show was junk, Moj. It was junk.
It is what it is. I mean, we're not exactly his demo, but to me, the disappointing. And here's the thing. As soon as you say, "Oh, you're a racist," that has nothing to do with race. It was just a bad show. There was zero energy, right? That was the big thing that I really picked up on. There was nothing in that show that you kind of went, "Wow," right? So to me, that's the thing. I mean, it was disappointing. It was boring, and it was flat. I'm sorry. People want to call it the worst halftime show of all time. I'm trying to think of a halftime show that's worse, and I really can't do that right now.
Bring back up with people, Moj. I've been saying it for years. It'd be good for the comedy, I think. Hey, by the way, some of the comments we're getting, Delaney is okay tearing Lanley inbox. We're friends. You got to help me out here. Unsigned. Was Donnie smoking weed back in the day? Those eyes. That pic of Donnie looks like he smoked a fatty. You got to pick something better than that. Come on.
It's a great
I like
photo.
the hair. The eyes not so much.
I didn't dig deep enough, I guess, but that is a good shot, though. And I love look at the Oilers and the Nordiques.
Yeah, that's true.
Nordiques, thank you. Yeah.
They look good.
Yeah. Hey, somebody thinks you look like Steve Wilkos from Jerry Springer.
Yeah, and he had his own show, too.
There's a great story there. There's a great story.
I'm sure there is.
There.
Well, tell it to us. Well, we're running out of time. Go on. How long is it going to take?
Quick.
It'll take 30 seconds.
Go.
I actually met Wilkos one time at a party. Now, here's the thing. Cal Ripken came up to Vancouver JCC. I was doing stuff that night, sat with Ripken at the table.
Yeah.
He goes, he gets mistaken for Wilkos all the time, right? And when I told Wilkos that story at the Jaws and Dicka cigar party, he said, there was a dude that walked up and thought he was Ripken. I go, no, he's not Cal Ripken. And he's like, yeah, all right. And he kept going at him saying, hey, Cal, thanks for coming out. And I'm not Cal Ripken. So Cal Ripken, me, and Wilkos kind of in the same grouping.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know if that was worth the wait, Moj. But what I got out of that was that you think you look like Cal Ripken, who's a good-looking guy.
No,
that's not happening, buddy.
Yeah,
Wilkos looks like me.
Hey, listen, we can't thank you enough for your work over the past week, Moj.
Thanks, fellas. It was a lot of fun. And hey, Henderson, don't next time. I want a phone call during the season, not to doing another postmortem on the Lions.
Okay, will do.
Adios.